I am 68 years old. I have calluses on my hands that no amount of retirement can smooth out. I have poured concrete in -30 Calgary winters. I have built homes from bare ground up with nothing but a blueprint, a crew, and a refusal to quit. I sold my construction company last spring for more money than my father ever saw in 3 lifetimes. And last Tuesday morning, my own son uninvited me from the trip I paid for by text message. No call, no warning, just a message while I was sitting at my kitchen table drinking coffee in the dark, the same way I have started every morning for 40 years. Dad, change of plans. This trip needs to just be us, Kevin. 9 words, that was it. No explanation, no apology, just 9 words to tell me that the $31,000 safari I booked, planned, and paid for in full was no longer mine to attend. I sat there for a long time. The coffee went cold. I read the message 4 more times, thinking I was missing something, a joke, anything. There was nothing. Now, I want to be clear about something. I am not a man who cries easily. I am not a man who begs. I learned a long time ago on job sites that when something breaks, you don't stand there feeling sorry about it. You assess the damage, you figure out what went wrong, then you fix it. So I put the phone down, I finished the cold coffee, and I started thinking. What I found when I started digging made the text message look like nothing. What my son and his wife had been quietly planning behind my back for months was something I never saw coming. But they made one mistake. They forgot that before I was a retiree, I was a builder, and I know exactly how to demolish what I construct. If you believe respect goes both ways, hit that like button and stay with me, because what I found in their house the morning they left for the airport changed everything.
Before I tell you what I found, you need to understand who I am. Not the retired version, not the old man Kevin and Tad saw, the real version. I grew up in Red Deer, Alberta, middle of nowhere. My father worked at a lumber yard. We weren't poor, but I knew the feeling of wanting something I couldn't have. I started construction at 17 because it paid, but something clicked. I had an eye for structure. I could look at a building going up wrong and know exactly where it was going to fail before it failed. At 26, I started ROF Construction with $4,000 in a second-hand truck. By the time Kevin finished high school, I had 63 employees. My wife Gloria worked beside me the entire time. She believed in the dream before there was anything real to believe in. Gloria passed away 4 years ago, lung cancer. After she died, the company kept running because work was the only language I had left that made sense. Then last year, I sold. $4.2 million after taxes. I didn't tell Kevin the full number. I wanted to surprise him. I wanted to set up a future for him. That's why I booked the safari. Kenya, 12 days, $31,000. I did not flinch at the number. Kevin hugged me when I told him. Tad smiled and said it would be incredible. 4 months later, I got 9 words on a Tuesday morning. But here's what I've learned in 40 years of construction. The cracks in a foundation do not appear overnight. They've been forming for a long time. You just weren't looking closely enough. I was about to start looking. And what I found was not a crack. It was a sinkhole. Stay with me, because in the next scene, I get in my truck and drive to their house, and what I see when I walk through that door stops me cold. I did not reply to the text. A man who spent 40 years managing job sites knows one thing. Never make a decision when your blood is up. You wait, you breathe, you think. So I waited 20 minutes, then I called Kevin. It rang 3 times. It was not Kevin. It was Tad. Her voice was flat, like she was answering a call from a telecom company she had no intention of buying from. "Marlon, did you get Kevin's message?" "I got it," I said. "I want to talk to my son." "He's busy right now. We are trying to get organized before the car comes." I kept my voice level. "Tad, I paid $31,000 for this trip. My bags are packed. I would like an explanation." She exhaled, slow and deliberate. "Honestly, Marlon, this is exactly the problem. Everything is a negotiation with you. Everything has a price tag attached. You slow things down, you talk about Gloria constantly, and then the whole mood shifts. We want to have fun, real fun, not a guided tour with someone's dad tagging along, checking the itinerary every 10 minutes. I did not speak. "You're 68, she continued. "The heat is intense. You would be miserable, and you would make everyone else miserable too. Just stay home, rest. We will bring you back something nice." Then she hung up. "Someone's dad." That is what she said, like I was a stranger who had bought his way into the wrong group booking. I stood up. I walked to the window. Outside, the Calgary morning was still gray. Something in my chest went very still, not sad, not angry, still. The same stillness I get when I am standing in front of a building that looks finished, but I know something is wrong, something behind the walls. I grabbed my keys. I was not going to sit at home and wait for a postcard. I was going to drive to their house. My son was going to look me in the eye and say those words himself. I pulled out of my driveway and headed toward Deerfield Road. What I saw when I walked through that door was not a couple trying to save their marriage. It was something else entirely. And it was sitting in my living room, drinking my coffee, like it owned the place.
The house on Deerfield Road is a 4-bedroom colonial. Paid $980,000 cash. I put Kevin's name on the deed. I wanted him to feel like a man with something solid under his feet. I just never got around to finishing the paperwork. That detail will matter later. I pulled up at 8:30. I walked to the door and knocked. Kevin opened it. He looked like a man who was hoping the morning would go faster than it was. "Dad," he said. He blocked the doorway. "I thought you got my message." "I want to hear it from you, face to face." He gave me the story. They were struggling. They needed space, no distractions. He said the word distractions and then looked at the ground. Then, from inside the house, I heard a laugh. Not Tad's laugh, someone else's, loud, unfiltered. I put my hand flat on the door and pushed it open. I moved him without much effort. The living room stopped me. 9 suitcases, big hard-shell cases lined up like they were waiting for inspection. And standing there, drinking coffee from mugs I bought, were people I had not invited anywhere. Tad's mother, Joan, Tad's best friend, Valerie, and stretched across my leather recliner with his boots on the armrest was Peter West, Tad's brother. "Whose ticket is Joan using?" I asked. Silence. "The connecting suite, the one I booked next to yours. Whose name is on it now?" Tad didn't flinch. "My mother is coming for support. Valerie is a calming presence. And Peter needs a break." I looked at Kevin. He wouldn't look at me. "We appreciate everything you did, Dad," he said, "but Tad needs this." "Okay," I said. One word. Calm. Flat. I turned and walked out. I heard Tad's voice behind me, too quiet for me to catch. Finally, I thought he would never leave. I didn't drive away. I pulled around the corner and waited, because I had seen something in the recycling bin, a piece of paper with my name at the top. What I found in that bin rewrote everything I thought I knew about my son, and it was only the beginning.
I watched the hired car pull away at 8:53. Peter threw himself into the seat like he was boarding a party bus.
Then they were gone. I used my key. I still had one. Inside, the house was still. It smelled like Tad's perfume and the coffee Joan had been drinking. I went straight to the kitchen. I pulled out the recycling bin and went through it like a building inspection, slow, methodical. Near the bottom, I found a brochure, Clearview Supportive Living, Publicly Assisted Residential Care. Publicly assisted. That means low cost, the kind of place you put someone when you want them gone but do not want to pay much to do it. My blood work is fine, my mind is sharp, so why did my son have a brochure with a care home with my name written on the inside cover? I kept digging. I found a torn email from Tad. She was asking an admissions coordinator if a resident with significant assets could still qualify for subsidies if those assets were restructured before admission. She used the phrase, preserving the estate for family needs. My estate. I went to Kevin's office next. In the paper shredder, I found a draft, a legal petition to declare one Marlin Roof mentally unfit. It named Kevin as legal guardian, full authority over my bank account, my house, and my medical decisions. In the margin, Tad had written in red pen, "Can we access the construction sale proceeds once order is granted? Peter's situation can't wait." And I understood. This was not about a marriage in trouble. They wanted me on a plane to Kenya, isolated, unreachable. And when I came back, I would come back to a world where my own son owned me. I took photos of everything, high resolution. I looked at a photo of Kevin and Gloria. Gloria worked herself half to death to give him everything. I picked up my phone. I did not call Kevin. I called Sadie Law, my counsel for 22 years. "Sadie," I said, "clear your morning. I'm coming to you, and I'm bringing something you need to see."
Sadie Law's office is on the 14th floor of a glass building in downtown Calgary. Efficient. No performance, no motivational quotes. Just Sadie. I laid everything out. The brochure, the email, the petition with Tad's red ink notes. Sadie read it twice. She took off her glasses. "Does he know about the $4.2 million? No. That's the only thing working in your favor," she said. "This is an emergency guardianship application. If they file this Monday while you're at home, a judge could grant it without you even being in the room." I felt something tighten in my chest. Not fear, just recognition. "What do I do?" I asked. Sadie was already writing. "First, we protect the money. We move the proceeds into a trust they cannot touch. Second, we look at the house." She pulled up the records. Then the corner of her mouth moved, just slightly. "Marlin, you hold 51% controlling interest in that property. Kevin is just a minority interest holder, living in your building." I sat with that for a moment. This was the load-bearing wall. "There's more," Sadie said. She showed me a business registration, Tillery Development Group. Kevin had used my reputation to borrow $1.7 million. He used the implied value of the house as collateral, she said. He leveraged an asset he does not fully own to borrow money he cannot repay. I thought about Peter West on my recliner, the gambling debts, Tad's note. Peter's situation can't wait. I stood up. I looked out the window. I want everything moved today. The sale proceeds go into a trust, Gloria's name on it, scholarship funds for kids who actually want to build something. I want the house sold, force the sale, contact the lenders and tell them the collateral Kevin claimed is majority owned by a hostile party. Sadie smiled. "He will be insolvent within 48 hours. Good. I want this done before they land in Nairobi. You know what this means when they come back," she said. "They wanted privacy," I said. "I am going to give them so much privacy they will not even have a roof over their heads." One more thing. I asked her for a contact at a security firm. They were getting on a plane in a few hours. I needed to make sure I was on that trip with them, whether they knew it or not.
Sadie made one call. 20 minutes later, a man came to her office. No introduction. He set a small black case on the desk and left. Inside was a device the size of a coat button, voice-activated, 10-day battery. It uploaded everything to a private cloud server I could access from my phone. I knew exactly where it was going. Kevin had forgotten his jacket, dark navy, brass buttons. He was proud of it, planning to wear it to the welcome dinner at the lodge. Careless people always forget something. I drove back to the house, let myself in. I opened the lining at the inside collar, tucked the device in, 3 stitches to close it, clean, invisible. I called Kevin. They were at the airport hotel. "Kevin," I said. I kept my voice calm, almost gentle. "You forgot your jacket. I can drop it to you. I'm already in the truck." "Fine," he said. "We're at the Marriott. Just drop it at the front desk." "I'll bring it in. 2 minutes." I found them near the bar. Tad saw the jacket before she saw me. Her whole posture changed. She reached out. "Safe and sound," I said. "Wouldn't want you to be underdressed for the welcome dinner." She took it without saying thank you, held it against her chest like it was a prize. "Thanks, Dad," Kevin said. He still would not look at me properly. "Of course," I said. "Have a wonderful trip, both of you." I turned and walked out. I sat in my truck across the street. I put on my headphones. I opened the app. Crystal clear. I poured coffee from my thermos, and I listened. What they said in that room when they thought I was gone told me everything I needed to know, and I recorded every single word.
I did not have to wait long. A door closed on the audio feed. They were in a room now, private, or so they thought. Tad spoke first. "Is everything still set with the lawyer?" Kevin's voice came back lower, slower. "He files Monday. Emergency order. By the time we land back in Calgary, it should already be signed." "And the money?" Tad asked. "The sale proceeds?" "Once I have guardianship, I can move it wherever I want. We use it to clear the loans first, pay off Peter's situation, put the rest somewhere clean." I sat in my truck and listened to my son divide up my life like it was an estate sale. Then Tad said, "I just want it done. He is exhausting, Kevin. I am tired of pretending." Kevin said nothing for a moment. Then, "Me too." 2 words. Me too. I took the headphones off. I did not need more. I called Sadie. "Proceed," I said. "All of it, today." "The partition action?" "Monday morning, first filing of the day." "The lenders?" "This afternoon. Inform them the collateral is compromised. Let the default notices fly." Sadie paused. "Marlon, once I do this, there is no slowing it down." "I know," I said. "They made sure of that when they started filing paperwork to take my life away." I drove to the departures terminal. I stood near the coffee kiosk and watched. They came through 20 minutes later. Tad was wearing Kevin's navy jacket over her shoulders. My device was 2 feet from her ear. They looked relaxed, happy, like people who had just solved a difficult problem. I did not wave. I did not call out. I just watched them go, through security, down the corridor, around the corner, gone. The trap was set. The device was traveling. The lawyers were moving. And somewhere over the Atlantic Ocean, 5 people were going to begin the most expensive free holiday of their lives. I drove home, ate a steak alone at my kitchen table, slept better than I had in months. By the time they landed in Nairobi, the first walls were already coming down. They just didn't know it yet.
The flight landed at Jomo Kenyatta International at 6:40 in the morning.
14 hours after they left Calgary. I was sitting on my back deck with a coffee and a laptop, watching the sun go down over the Rockies. My phone buzzed. A message from Sadie. Lenders contacted, default notices issued, trust established. I opened the audio app. The device was live. I could hear the lodge, distant music, the hum of people enjoying themselves without knowing the cost of anything. Then the waiter came for the bill. "I have the card," Tad said, confident, automatic. I heard the card hit the tray. I waited. 40 seconds. "I am sorry, madam. This card has been declined." Silence. Not a comfortable silence. A sharp, airless silence. "Run it again," Tad said. The warmth was gone. Kevin, call your father right now. He must have forgotten to set up international access. Stupid." Kevin's name appeared on my screen. I let it ring out. Tad called. I let it ring out. Back on the audio feed, it was quiet. "Try the business card," Tad said, low, controlled. The waiter came back. "I am sorry, sir. This one is also declined. Code issued by the bank. Do not honor." "What does that mean?" Kevin's voice was small. I heard footsteps. Kevin was moving away from the group. He was opening his banking app. Then a sound I had not heard from my son since he was a teenager. A single, short breath, like something had knocked the air out of him. The accounts were empty. Not low, locked. I closed the audio app. I did not need to hear the rest. I looked out at the Calgary sky, dark now, stars coming out over the Rockies. I raised my coffee mug toward the window. "Enjoy the lamb," I said, quietly. Then I went to bed.
I woke up at 5:30. Old habit. I made coffee, opened the laptop. The audio feed had been running all night. They were not sleeping. I put on my headphones. 11 p.m. Nairobi time. Kevin's voice, strained, talking to a bank representative. "There must be an error. The accounts were active as of last week. I am a business owner." The representative's voice was calm and unhelpful. "Fraud alert. 10 business days for review." Then I heard Tad. "Who raised the alert? Who filed it?" Kevin did not answer, but I think he already knew. I skipped to 2 a.m. Tad was talking fast, low, frightened. "Your father did this. The timing is not a coincidence, Kevin. He found something. The petition. Did you leave the draft somewhere? In the office? In the bin?" Silence. "Kevin." "I do not know," he said quietly. "Maybe. If he saw that document, we are finished. Everything we planned. All of it." Then, 4 a.m., Peter's voice, hushed, urgent, talking to someone back in Calgary. "No, I cannot get to it from here. The account is locked. Tell him I need more time. 2 weeks, just 2 weeks." He sat quietly for a moment after he hung up. Then he said to himself, "Kevin, you absolute idiot!" I took off the headphones. The picture was complete. $80,000. Kevin had borrowed $1.7 million to cover his brother-in-law's debt to a private lender, not the friendly kind. I walked out to the back deck. The Rockies were there, solid, unchanged. I thought about Kevin staring at a ceiling he could not afford. I had not put him there. He had put himself there. I had just stopped pretending he had not. My phone buzzed. Sadie. "Developer confirmed. Deerfield Road. Cash offer. Signing today. Notice posted on the door this afternoon." I went inside and made breakfast. They still hadn't checked Kevin's email. When they did, the lodge ceiling was going to be the last thing on their minds. The email landed in Kevin's inbox at 9:47. Nairobi was 8 hours ahead. I had the audio running. I heard the exact moment he opened it. Not because he said anything, because he stopped saying anything. The table went quiet. "He sold the house," Kevin said. His voice was flat, empty. "He owns 51%, Tad. We never signed the transfer papers, remember? You rescheduled twice, and we never went back. Then he read the rest. The lawsuits, the demands for repayment, $340,000. Then his name appeared on my phone screen. I picked up. I did not say hello. I waited. "Dad!" His voice was thin, unsteady. "Dad, please talk to me. What are you doing? Please, just stop this." I looked out my kitchen window. I found the brochure, Clearview Supportive Living, Publicly Assisted Care. Silence. I found the petition, Emergency Guardianship, Cognitive Decline. I read Tad's note about using my money to clear Peter's gambling debts. "Dad, it was not like that. Tad said it was just an option." "Kevin," I stopped him. The lawyer's name was already filled in. The court was selected. That is not exploring options. That is a plan. He didn't argue. He was crying now. "The money is in a trust, Gloria's name on it. It funds scholarships for kids who actually want to build something." "Dad, that's $4 million. That was supposed to be—" "It was never yours, Kevin. I earned it. I decide where it goes. That is how money works when it belongs to you." "We have nowhere to go when we land," he sobbed. "The house is gone. Everything is just—" "You have 11 more days in Africa, 11 days to sit with what they had done. And when they finally landed, what was waiting for them was worse than anything I could have said on that call."
I was not at the airport when they landed. I was in Kelowna. I watched the flight land on my laptop from a deck chair overlooking Okanagan Lake. Sadie sent me the photos that evening. I looked through them slowly. The first one showed a yellow taxi. Kevin, Tad, Joan, and Valerie. Peter was not there. He had apparently separated from the group at the airport. The second photo showed them looking at the house, or what was left of it. The lawn was gone, replaced by gravel and orange construction fencing, a bin filled with broken drywall, and the imported tile Tad had spent weeks selecting. Across the front door, Deerfield Capital Group, active development site, no trespassing. Kevin tried the keypad. Nothing. He tried his key. It did not fit. The fifth photo was the one Sadie specifically asked for. 2 men in plain clothes, the fraud unit. I had given Sadie everything, the fraudulent loans, the forged documents, the recordings. Kevin's face in the photo was not angry. It was the face of a man who finally understood the distance between where he thought he was and where he actually is. They put him in the back of the sedan, no drama, just 2 doors closing. Tad sat down on her suitcase. Joan sat next to her. 3 women sitting on luggage in front of a construction fence. I closed the photos. I put the phone face down. I did not feel like a man who had won something. I felt like a man who had finished a demolition job. Necessary, precise, done cleanly. The building was down. The ground was clear. I called Sadie. "It is done," I said. "It is done," she confirmed. "The trust is established. 14 scholarship applicants, all from low-income households, all studying trades." I looked out at the lake. "Send them through," I said. "I will read them tonight." Kevin called me 11 times that week. I did not answer, but I did read every scholarship application, and what I found in those folders reminded me why I spent 40 years building things in the first place.